Howdy folks, hope you all had a great weekend and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. And I'm very happy to say that this episode of Mingles with Jingles has got itself a sponsor. Hopefully you're all aware by now that I don't accept sponsorships unless it's from a company or a product that I either use myself or am entirely happy to recommend to you, or both, and that is the case with today's sponsor, Incogni. Now, I'm sure you're all aware that every time you go on the internet, your personal data is being harvested by data brokers and sold on to, well, basically anybody who will pay for it. Usually, things like insurance companies or credit companies, making it harder for you to get credit and raising your insurance premiums without you even knowing anything about it. It's also possible that you may be aware that under most legal jurisdictions, you're entitled to go after these data brokers and demand that they remove any information about you that they hold on file. Now that's fine in theory, but it's a lot harder in practice because, well, do you even know who these data brokers are? I mean, I didn't, but they knew who I was. And that's where Incogni comes in, because Incogni does all of the hard work for you. Incogni goes after the data brokers, submitting demands that they remove any data that they hold on file for you, and I'm actually pretty good about taking care of my online data. So when I signed up for Incogni's service, I wasn't particularly surprised to find that 69 data brokers that Incogni went after didn't actually hold any data on me, but a further 26 did. And Incogni not only got them to remove any of my personal data, they also slapped them with a suppression order to ensure that they couldn't accidentally re-add me back to their lists in the future, and they keep checking up on them to ensure that they comply with these legal requirements because, oh, would you look at that, sometimes some of them don't. So head over to incogni.com/jingles and use code JINGLES to get an exclusive offer of 60% off. That's incogni.com/jingles and use code JINGLES, or just click the link below to take your personal data off the market. Before we crack on with the meat and bones of this episode of Mingles with Jingles, which is going to be very different to the usual type of content that I put up in these episodes, I do need to make a short public service announcement. You may have noticed somebody doing a pretty shitty job of pretending to be me posting replies to the comments that you've been making on my videos for the last couple of weeks or months, asking you to get in touch with me on something called Telegram. Needless to say, this is not me, it's somebody trying to scam you, and you absolutely should block them and definitely not reply to them. I've been doing my best to try to block them, but, well, I have to do it manually because YouTube's algorithm doesn't seem to find anything suspicious whatsoever in one account spamming replies to every comment that gets made on a video. And they can do it faster than I can ban them. So if you do post a comment on one of my videos and you see one of these replies from somebody doing a not very good job of impersonating me, asking you to get in touch with me on something called Telegram or anything like that, just block them, ignore them. It's not me. Protect yourself. Somebody's trying to scam you. Anyway, on with today's episode, which is going to be very different to the usual Mingles with Jingles. See, I don't know about you lot, but 2023 wasn't a particularly great year for gaming. I mean, there were some good games that came out in 2023. Baldur's Gate 3, obviously. Aliens, Dark Descent. The expansion for Cyberpunk. I'm quite enjoying Robocop Rogue City. Dredge was probably the surprise sleeper hit of the year, but while there were some great games in 2023, there were some awfully long, dry spells between them. This year, however, 2024 is shaping up to be very, very different and much, much better. And I thought I'd spend this episode taking a look at some of the games that have popped up on my radar that I am actually getting pretty excited about. Star Citizen Squadron 42 is probably the biggest name that's supposed to be coming out this year, but, well, it's Star Citizen, so I'll believe that when I see it. But as for games that absolutely, definitely, guaranteed 100% are coming out this year, the first one that I wanted to share with you comes from an independent developer called Ironwood Studios, and it's coming out in a little over a week, and it's called Pacific Drive. There was actually a closed beta for this that lasted, don't know, a week, a weekend, something like that. But it completely slipped under my radar. And the first I was aware that this game even existed was during the closed beta, and I was watching people stream this on Twitch and put videos up of their experience on YouTube. And I immediately wishlisted it and pre-purchased which was unfortunate because shortly after the closed beta period ended, the developers got in touch and asked me if I wanted a Steam key for it. However, they were obviously happy to hear that I'd already pre-purchased, and they did say that they'd give me some Steam keys to give away because I am going to start doing videos on this. It looks absolutely incredible. And it's extremely affordable as well. I think at the moment you can pre-purchase it for around about £22. I mean, this is not an expensive game. It's basically done. They're releasing it on the 22nd of this month. And it's obviously... It reminds me of Choo Choo Charles. Do you remember me playing that one? Except instead of driving a train, you're driving a car. And there are things out there. It's about the level of horror that I can stand. Unlike something like Alien Isolation, in this, as in Choo Choo Charles, which was a fantastic game, by the way, you do have the ability to actually fight back. And the gameplay seems to revolve around, well, you're inside some kind of exclusion zone where there's some really freaky shit going on. And the car that you start off with is not going to make it to the other end without some serious upgrades. So it's kind of like Subnautica in that kind of respect, where you're upgrading your ride and investigating what's going on, with all kinds of obstacles being thrown in your way. I'm sure that you're going to come across parts of this exclusion zone where you simply need to upgrade the car even further in order to actually make it past the next point, and so on and so on. Anybody who's played this kind of survival game is going to be intimately familiar with exactly what's going on in this. And it just looks really good. Like I said, it's about the level of horror that I can stand before I have to nope the hell out of there. And I'm really looking forward to this. This is available on the 22nd of February. You can pre-purchase and wishlist it on Steam right now. But I will probably... actually definitely be doing a video series on this, and I should have some Steam keys to give away courtesy of the game developers. So this is Pacific Drive from Ironwood Studios, coming out on Steam in slightly more than a week. So from something that looks as if it's set at exactly the level of horror that I can tolerate to something that isn't. This one's called Retrieval, and it looks like the kind of game that I absolutely would start, but I also absolutely wouldn't finish, and you'll understand why from watching the trailer.
All we wanted was to start over, leaving our family, our friends behind. And we were so eager to hand ourselves over. But we just ended up the same.
What's been going on down here? This wasn't an accident.
What are you doing to them?
They're starting to shake. Get the fuck out of here!
All this to start our new life.
Yeah. I don't know for sure that this game is in fact coming out this year. It might not. It was announced at Gamescom 2023. But holy shit, it looks good. I just don't know whether or not I'll actually be able to play it. I mean, I'm sure I'll start playing it, but whether I finish it is anybody's guess. Anyway, moving on. Does anybody remember The Outer Worlds by Obsidian? Very, very good game. They're doing a sequel. And they've announced the sequel with what has to be the most honest trailer in video game history.
We begin by hearing an old, wise-sounding voice. And we see a quiet, peaceful setting. This will make our game seem big and important. Now, something must break the serenity. Will this creature be in the game? No. Say goodbye to it forever. Suddenly, and for no reason, people running. These pointless slow-motion shots make everything seem cool and should bolster pre-sale numbers. That wah sound can mean only one thing. We must gaze over an epic shot of a world, and there should be lens flares. Now we see our hero, but only their silhouette, because the developers haven't finished the design, or finished the story, or finished any gameplay that's actually ready to show. In fact, the only thing they have finished is the title.
And how can you not love that? I mean, the sequel to The Outer Worlds. The first game was great. It's Obsidian. They've never made a bad game. In fact, the only bad thing I can say about that teaser trailer is that it's probably not coming out in 2024. In fact, it might not even come out in 2025. But based on the trailer alone, I just had to share it with you. Next, another game that I already know is going to be good, just like The Outer Worlds 2. Well, not just like The Outer Worlds 2, where the original game was already amazing. Horizon Forbidden West. The sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, one of the best story-rich games I have ever played, and I already know that it's going to be good because it's been out for 2 years, just not on PC. The first game was absolutely amazing. I played it on PS4, and then when it came out on the PC, I played it again. Substantially easier to play on PC because, you know, mouse and keyboard. Proper control systems. Story obviously didn't change, just as amazing as it was on the PS4. And the reviews of this game in the 2 years that it's been out have been really good. I can't believe it's taken this long for them to port it to PC, but it is finally coming. And unlike a typical lazy PC port from the consoles, they have actually taken advantage of the unique features that a decently spec'd out PC offers. All this coming to Steam on March the 21st. So you don't have long to wait for this, and I am very much looking forward to it. If it's even half as good as the first game, it is absolutely going to be worth your money. So, a lot of sequels coming out in 2024. This next one, however, not one of them. This is Moon Mystery. It doesn't have a firm release date. It's just coming out this year. And it's a sort of first-person exploration, sort of survival shooter, where the emphasis is on exploring, combat, and mystery. Although what exactly the mystery is, well, it's something to do with the real reason why we were in such a rush to land on the moon in 1969. There's some kind of mystery. Some kind of mystery that, well, based on the trailer, looks like it's going to lead us from the moon to Europa, possibly, and also Mars. Honestly, I have no idea. There's not an awful lot to go on. But it looks interesting. And based on the trailer alone, I thought it was worth including. So that's Moon Mystery from Cosmo Scouts. No firm release date just yet, coming out sometime this year. The next game that I'm getting quite excited about is called The Altars, and I'm just going to run the trailer and shut up, because it's one of those really good trailers that tells you everything that you need to know without spoiling anything, and if I were to talk over it, it would just ruin it. So, The Altars.
My whole life, all my choices, led me to this place. When I took this job, I thought things would take a different turn. Well, ironically, they did. My name is Jan, and I was brought here by the other Jan just because he didn't know how to fix his own shit. My name is Jan. I chose the path of science, and now I'm stuck with these feather-brained versions of myself. My name is Jan. I lost everything, but here I am, in a body that does not belong to me. My name is Jan. I've sacrificed my entire life for Lena, and now it turns out she's not even my wife. My name is Jan. And looking at all of them, I've never been happier with who I've become.
So, the vibe that I'm getting from this is it's kind of like The Martian, but instead of having one astronaut, Mark Watney, who has to sort everything out by himself, this Jan guy has the ability to call upon different versions of himself that have the relevant skills necessary to get him out of the shit that he's in. And it's such a cool idea.
My name is Jan, and I just want my life back. Yeah? Which one?
Sadly, no firm release date for this one yet either, just sometime in 2024, but you can add it to your wish list on Steam. And it just features such a cool idea. I think alongside Pacific Drive, this is probably the title on today's list that I'm kind of the most intrigued about. Next, a game that's almost certainly not coming out in 2024. In fact, I'd be surprised if this one even comes out in 2025, but I'm putting it up on the list because it shares a couple of things in common with some of the other trailers that I'm showing today, and that I'm both simultaneously looking forward to and dreading its release. This is the game that is so far only known as the next Mass Effect game. So you can see why I'm kind of dreading it and looking forward to it at the same time, because it is BioWare, and BioWare have made some amazing games, but they've kind of gone off the rails a bit in the last 10 years. They haven't made a good game since Mass Effect 3, and even that was only good up until the last 10 minutes. Mass Effect Andromeda, crushing disappointment. Anthem, crushing disappointment. Even the Dragon Age games have gone off the rails. So, I mean, it could be good, but it could also be just more of the same disastrous rubbish that BioWare have made a name for pumping out over the last 10 years. But it could be good. I guess we'll see. I am excited about it though, because it's Mass Effect. And Mass Effect used to be great. So, fingers crossed. Next game on the list, and it's another one of those titles that has the potential to be absolutely awesome, and yet at the same time could be really, really bad. And I don't really know what to make of it, because you can't actually tell an awful lot based on the trailer alone. This is a Star Wars game. This is Star Wars Eclipse. The reason I'm hopeful is because this is being developed by Quantic Dreams, and they're a developer who are known for having games that are based around a really cool idea. And they lean into that really cool idea extremely heavily. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they have never really made a bad game. Which is why I'm hopeful for Star Wars Eclipse. This is set during what's known as the High Republic era. So, before the Clone Wars. We're firmly in prequel territory here. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And there's a lot of... I think South Park refer to it as the member berries. Ooh, I remember that. That's cool. Oh, look, lightsabers. I remember those. Oh, there's Yoda. I remember that. I mean, I kind of hope that they're bringing something new and original to the table. And based on the trailer, it kind of looks like they might be. And this is Quantic Dream. I mean, they're the developers of Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, Beyond, Two Souls, and whatever you say about those games, they did definitely bring new ideas to the gameplay. And while you can't really tell anything from the trailer other than, ooh, this looks cool, it's been described as an action-adventure, multiple-character, branching narrative game set in the High Republic era of the iconic Star Wars galaxy. And it is by Quantic Dream, so aside from the whole, oh, look, I remember those, droid control ships, ooh, lightsabers, I remember them, they are a developer that are known for doing their level best to do good story driven by unique gameplay mechanics. So despite the fact that the trailer itself is basically nonsense and doesn't tell you anything other than it's Star Wars, the fact that it is being developed by Quantic Dream does promise that even if it's not good, it's definitely going to be different. And when was the last time you could say that about a Star Wars game? In the same vein, there is another Star Wars game coming out, and I have less reason to be hopeful about this one. Because it's by Massive Entertainment, and they're a Ubisoft studio. Now, while they were responsible for games like Tom Clancy's The Division, which was fairly good, they were also responsible for your typical Ubisoft shovelware like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora from last year, which came out and sank without trace, because it was your typical Ubisoft shovelware. But they are capable of doing good stuff, if Ubisoft let them. I mean, when was the last time you saw a decent title come out from Ubisoft? They haven't quite gone as far off the rails as BioWare have, but they're a very, very lazy publisher. And it would be very, very easy for this to just be some more of that Ubisoft open world adventure shovelware. And I really, really hope it isn't, because I feel like we really deserve a good Star Wars game. And I sincerely hope that Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream isn't going to be the only one, because this does, and again, you know, it's all pre-rendered, there's no actual gameplay on display here. But it does look like the kind of title that I would actually like to play, if it's any good. I mean, for one thing, it's set in proper Star Wars, you know, the Galactic Empire era. None of that prequel or sequel bullshit. On the other hand, it is described as a single-player, third-person action-adventure game set in an open world with open combat, vehicle combat, space combat, and branching dialogue. So far, so Ubisoft. But Ubisoft have produced good games using this formula. Just, you know, not in the last couple of years. You can make a good game out of this, as long as Ubisoft remember to give a shit. And please, 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 keep all of the lentil-munching hippie lefties who were in charge of the last couple of Ubisoft games as far away from this project as possible with their politically correct bullshit. I mean, you're playing a criminal, right? Take the hint. And please let this be good. It's coming out this year. Finally, another sequel. Does anyone remember Breathedge? I did a video series on this. Well, I did a couple of videos. I absolutely loved Breathedge, or at least I loved the first half of it. Once it stopped being a sort of space survival game and became a base building game, I kind of lost interest. But I absolutely adored its crackpot sense of humour. And if the sequel has the same sense of humour, based on the trailer, it definitely looks like it has. I am definitely going to be giving this a go. This one doesn't actually have a release date, so it's probably not coming out this year, unfortunately, but I mean, it's the sequel to one of the funniest games I have ever played. So I'm definitely interested, and it is on my wish list. And that wraps up this episode of Mingles with Jingles. The games that are coming out this year, some of which might actually be coming out next year, but which I'm definitely looking forward to, and hopefully you guys are too, because I am probably going to be doing videos on each and every one of these games. Did I miss anything? Oh, Homeworld 3. Of course. I mean, that's coming out in May, and that's going to be absolutely huge. And of course, I forgot to mention it, so I've already failed. But hopefully there's some stuff in today's video that you guys weren't aware of and are looking forward to as well. And of course, if there's anything other than Homeworld 3 that I've missed, do feel free to mention it in the comments. In the meantime, hope you've enjoyed today's video. Hope you've all had a great weekend. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.